Hey guys, HellsF1rst here, back with another Corepunk video. This time we're going over the last of the 6 heroes that they have given us information on. This one being the Champion, the last of the humans as well. And the champions are noble warriors. Champions seek out battles and live for glory. They unleash their rage upon their foes like an unstoppable hurricane of power, breaking them with ease and knocking the absolute stuffing out of them. Champions' bravery rush into a battle, launching a volley of arrows, striking enemies with their mighty sword, and rarely ever denting their shield. Their proud spirit, valor, and nerves of steel never let champions down in a fight, bringing them victory after victory. So they're literally just a bunch of badasses. We're going to start off with the Destroyer. And the Destroyers are melee fighters, heroes, with a specialization in two-handed weapons. Have a high survival rate. They sweep right into the heart of battle, dealing a lot of damage to their enemies. Fighting in a group, they can support their allies in critical moments, restoring team members' health for a certain amount of time. So with the Q on the Destroyer dashes to a target area and deals physical damage in front of an area of them. All enemies affected by this ability are slowed. So that's going to be pretty sweet, especially for PvP, because they can jump in to slow somebody, to slow them down enough for everybody else to hit them. It does have a 4-meter range and only a 12-second cooldown, which is pretty sweet. And the damage, 215 when it's all the way up there, is pretty good. Then we're going to jump onto the W. The Destroyer throws their weapon in a target direction. It deals physical damage to all enemies in its path. This is pretty sweet. It's definitely going to help out more PvE, I would think, than PvP. Although, who knows? Maybe you line them all up and just happen to get lucky. But it does have a 7-meter range. And 250 damage at the top end is pretty awesome, especially for only 33 mana. 7-second cooldown. I mean, with these two together, you're going to be able to do some damage to people trying to run away from you, which is also a good thing. And then we got the E. The Destroyer shouts and gets buffed for 10 seconds, which increases their health and attack power. Enemies within a short distance from the Destroyer get reduced armor and magic resistance. All I can think of this is PvP as well. I mean, if you're close enough to them, you're going to make them weaker. I mean, it's going to help out PvE. This is actually good for both. But I do think PvP, this class is definitely shining right now. Instant cast time, 3-meter range. You get a big boost in health, right? Attack power is pretty buffed up there, and magic and armor resistance reduction for them is dropped pretty significantly. 20-second cooldown, though. It's only downfall. Seems like a lot of the things on this kit are going to be a longer cooldown than normal. But it seems like they're making up for it with the ability to just stop some shit in its place, which leads us to the R, which does even more of that. And this is the Destroyer jumps to a target location and deals physical damage in the place of landing. All enemies in the affected area are stunned, right? Instant cast time, 6-meter range. Cooldown's kind of high, but just imagine this, okay? Real quick, like, you do the W, then the Q, then the R, and just big old combo to wreck some face. The special ability for them is for each basic attack or use of ability which hits an enemy, the Destroyer gains 1% bonus attack power. The buff stacks up to 10 charges, and when the maximum amount of charges is reached, the movement speed is increased by 10%. The charge lasts 5 seconds and refreshes. Activation of the special ability is available in 10 charges only, and the Destroyer starts to whirl, dealing physical damage with their weapon every 0.5 seconds to all nearest enemies during a 1.5 seconds. After that, all empowered charges fall off. So this is the character that you see in the video that I've got in the background here. I know you can barely see it. I got it kind of transparently looking through here, but we've all seen the video, the gameplay video, and it was of the Destroyer doing his whirlwind, slaughtering some things. You could see he was the one doing the majority of the damage. But the next one in the video was the Ranger. So we're going to get to go over both these right now. The Rangers are heroes who use a bow and arrow. Toggling between two stances, they can choose to deal damage either to a target area or severely stuck a particular target. Being part of a group, Rangers can be the main source of dealing damage, but can also use crowd control to root and slow enemies. Man, that was hard for me to say for some reason. Just kept tripping over my tongue. But we all know what a ranger is going to do. Bow and arrow, tink, tink, Hawkeye in it the whole damn time, right? So the Q, the ranger fires an arrow with a net in a target direction, which deals physical damage to the first enemy in its path, rooting them. This is great for PvP and for PvE. It's just a quick stop with the root. Now, the big difference between a root and a stun, if you haven't played some of these games before, a root stops you in place, but you can still cast a spell. If you're someone who's doing range, you can still shoot. A stun stops everything. This got a 0.2 second cast time with a 10-meter range, so it can hit pretty far, and it does a shitload of damage, 265. 15-second cooldown, not the greatest, but I'm sure we can get that down with gear. Now we jump to the W. The ranger chooses a target area, which for the next 2 seconds is attacked with a hail of arrows, dealing physical damage once in a second. All enemies in this area are slowed. All allies in the area gain bonus movement speed. Beautiful. All around, beautiful ability. I love this one. Instant cast time, 10-meter range, does some damage, not as much as some other abilities in the game, but it also gains bonus movement speed for a party, so I guarantee you're going to be running around with people, like, especially if you're in a raid and there's no bosses nearby. They're going to use this on everybody in the party so you can just move faster to the next area. I see it happening now. I might be wrong, might not be, but that's my guess. Now, the E. The ranger can toggle between 2 stances. While in the first stance, the ranger's basic attacks reduce the armor of a target. The effect stacks 5 times. When switching to this stance, the next basic attack will reduce a target's armor by 15. Basic attacks deal less damage in the second stance, but will slow enemies. When switching to the stance, basic attacks will additionally deal damage to the 2 nearest targets with on-hit effects for 6 seconds. This is a pretty cool little deal here, being able to pop between the 2 stances, and I think it's going to be utilized by the more skilled players to a proper way. Now, it's an instant cast time with an incredibly short cooldown. It's what you want, to be able to swap whenever you want. Then we jump to the R. The ranger fires a volley of arrows in front of them, dealing physical damage to all enemies affected by the ability. The ranger leaps 4 meters back. This is pretty sweet. Instant cast time, 5-meter range, 305 damage. It might be the highest I've seen. But the cooldown, really fucking long. But it could be worth it. And the ranger's basic attack for a special ability leaves arrows in enemies. The ranger gains bonus attack speed for each arrow. The effect stacks 10 times. The special ability can be activated, which triggers an immediate explosion of all arrows stuck in enemies, dealing physical damage. And the activation of the ability has a 15-second cooldown. While the ability is on cooldown, the ranger's basic attacks don't leave arrows in enemies. This is awesome. Raid bosses, right? Where you have to get through certain phases of their life. You know what I'm talking about? Like, okay, it's got 30% life left. It's going to start doing this. Well, imagine if you've got 3 of these guys just dumping arrows into it, and at the same time, they all activate the special ability, blowing up all the explosive arrows, and hopefully killing it and skipping that last phase altogether, plus being nuked from everybody else. It could happen. Maybe, maybe not. It's an idea. That's what we're doing, right? We're theorying, theory crafting, theory speaking, whatever the fuck you want to call it. We're doing that stuff, right? And I think for PvE, that's awesome. Now, PvP, I mean, you stick a guy with 10 arrows and he's trying to run away and he's almost dead, and you just smack him with this, you're probably going to kill him. A lot of people are saying the Ranger's not their favorite because of how weak it looked in the video. So it's, to me, seeming like it might have a little more oomph than we're giving it credit for. I'm excited for it. So then we move on to the last and final class of the champions, which is the Defender. Defenders are tanks who use their sword and shield in a melee fight. They can withstand a lot of incoming damage and help reduce damage to their allies. While in a group, defenders taunt enemies to make sure they're the ones taking the most damage in attacks. So the Defender, needless to say, uses a sword and shield to be a giant tank, right? And they've already confirmed that you'll be able to get different swords and different shields. So you don't have to use a set. It's not like a sword and shields coming in a set like in Terra. It came in a set, you know? You get to use a different sword and a different shield, items from two completely different whatevers, to mix and match to make your set, you know? Which I thought's pretty damn cool. Now let's jump onto the cube. The defender empowers their next basic attack. An empowered basic attack during 7 seconds permits them to hit a target with a powerful strike, dealing physical damage. After this empowered strike, the defender buffs himself, which reduces incoming damage by 3%. This effect lasts 10 seconds, stacks up to 5 times, and refreshes its effect period with each stack. That's cool, right? That's tank to the max right there. Stacking 5 times, that's 15% on both those. It's going to be nice. The damage it does right off the bat with that empowered attack is 130. Not the strongest at all, but that's not really why you're using it. 8-second cooldown, that's fine considering the effect lasts 10 seconds. Eventually, you're just going to keep getting more and more and more. Now, onto the W. The defender throws their shield at a target. If the shield hits a target, it bounces to the enemy several times, dealing physical damage. The first target hit by the shield is stunned. Now this is straight up Captain America, right? That's what we're all thinking. Captain America. Tossing a shield, bouncing it off, multiple people flying right back to his magnetic sidearm, right? 0.2 second cast time, 7 meters, 225 damage. Now, I'm curious if that's to every single enemy that it hits, because if it is, that's insanity, right? So, it's a skill shot. You have to actually hit to make all this happen, but it's going to be great when it does. A 15-second cooldown, not too bad with gear to make it lower. And 133 mana, that all depends on how big that mana pool is. I guess we'll see that later when it comes out. Now onto the E. The defender jumps to a target location, dealing physical damage upon landing, and taunt all enemies to attack them for 2 seconds. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a taunt. Instant cast time, 6-meter range, 215 damage. Not bad to all enemies around, right? 70 mana, 12-second cooldown. Only a 2-second taunt is what leads me to believe it's kind of a little off, but something tells me there's going to be items in the game that help with taunting. They did say there's going to be builds they're going to change for certain things to be better at one thing or the other. I'm hoping some of them are for, you know, extend taunt duration on taunt abilities, something like that, just to help out, because otherwise only being able to hold something for 2 seconds, you're going to get out DPS and it's going to flip real quick. So I'm excited to see what kind of aggro increasing weapons they actually have, or artifacts they actually have, because that's going to make the big difference between this being the best tank or just being a tank, right? Is that question right there. We'll get it answered hopefully soon. But onto the R. Raises the shield, and for a short duration affects reflex all the incoming damage back to an enemy. The defender is still able to move while reflecting the damage, preserving the type of reflected damage. The defender becomes immune to crowd control and damage. They also create an area behind their backs in which allies take reduced incoming damage, right? And 2, 3, 4, 5-second cast time, depending on how strong you get it, goes up a little bit of mana. It's just going to be pretty sweet. That's definitely going to help PvE and PvP, but let's be honest, that's PvE raids all day. Everyone's standing behind them getting reduced damage. I think this is a contester right here for main tank. And I'm going to do a video coming up on who I think will be the main tank, the best tank that everybody uses. And we'll be bringing that up here shortly in a couple days. Got a lot of Discord digging to do still to see what everybody else thinks to kind of get a general consensus. But I've got the idea right now. It seems like it could be between the Legionary and the Defender. But there could be others. I'm not going to speak of it yet. We'll talk about that one later. Now on to the special ability. The Defender gains bonus armor and magic resistance for each enemy in the 3-meter range around the Defender. And then it goes up 5 to 10 points based on the hero's level, which is gonna be pretty sweet. So I'm guessing that means if you're level 40, you get 40 points, or maybe 10 points. I don't know. It's not worded correctly enough for me to just get it right off the bat. But it's good to know. So this has been the champion hero, okay? I think it was the first one they showed off. It's the one we got in the video. It's probably going to be pretty damn stout because they've had the longest amount of time to tweak it. And that means probably, just because this is how things happen, they make all the other characters, they make them all stronger. Then this guy comes out, it's just lacking behind slightly, you know, just right there. It's not quite perfect up to par with everything else. And they buff the shit out of it and it just becomes the best class in the game. Who knows, though? Who knows? We're about to see. And if you guys are enjoying the videos, please drop me a like and subscribe. It's free, it's fun, it helps me, and I appreciate it. And as always, I'm HellsF1rst, and until next time, ta-ta.